Good morning. Welcome to the second regular monthly meeting of the Greenwich Board of Selectmen. Joining us telephonically today is Selectman Sandy Litvak. We are communicating obviously telephonically. We've had some technical difficulties with the landline, but we expect to have that addressed shortly. At this time, please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please note there are no people kneeling. Thank you very much. This is a regular meeting. It is a public meeting, not a public hearing. But as is the practice, we reserve the right to call upon any individual who attends to pose a question or make a comment specific to any item that is on our agenda. There are copies of the meeting agenda as you come into the meeting room, as well as a set of the materials that will be reviewed and acted upon today. Item number 2 is the approval of minutes from the last regular monthly meeting of May. That was May 10th. Are there any proposed changes or corrections to those? If not, I'm entertain a motion to approve those as presented. So, second. Without objection. Moving to item number 3, updates. Just quickly review some of the things that have occurred and that will be occurring. First, on May 10th, I attended the Greenwich Council of the Boy Scouts of America Recognition Dinner. This was the 42nd annual gathering of Eagles at the Hyatt. 18 young men were honored for their community service, as well as the presentation of the Malcolm Prey Award to Mr. Stitzer. Mark Stitzer was the 10th recipient of the Malcolm Prey Friend of Eagles Award. He has been active in the Greenwich Council, and he and his wife reside in Greenwich and have 3 children, Skylar and twins Parker and Chase. He has given of his time, talent, and treasure to the organization and earned his Eagle Scout in 1976 in Williamsport, Pennsylvania. On May 14th, the Cash Handling Task Force completed its review of cash handling practices throughout the town departments and issued its final report and recommendations. That press release dated May 16th. Just to briefly highlight the recommendations, the committee first was made up of myself, Mr. Brannion, Comptroller Peter Minarski, HR Director Mary Pepe. The recommendations are elimination of petty cash as of May 1st, 2018, mandatory training for any employee in their corresponding department head who handles cash, identification of increased payment options for transactions conducted with the town, and centralizing bank charges for payments made to the town by credit card. In addition, on the town website, you will find updates to new administrative policies related to scrap metal, town travel and reimbursement, and credit card use. Again, I want to thank Mr. Brannion, Mr. Minarski, Ms. Pepe, and also those folks with BET who have been communicating their issues, concerns through the comptroller. Certainly appreciate that collaboration. The next item, we were pleased that the RTM approved the 2018-19 budget. It was nearly unanimous, 202 in favor, 0 opposed, 2 abstentions. That is somewhat remarkable in my memory that we've had a budget approved so overwhelmingly. In addition, the BET set the mill rate. Possibly for the first time in a long time, it has remained unchanged at 11.369 mils. On May 15th, attended a really impactful program. It is through the Greenwich United Way, and it has to do with closing the early childhood achievement gap. Speaking was Janice Grundle, a PhD from Yale. The topic was the journey from adversity to health, hope, and resilience. What's in your backpack? The whole purpose of this initiative is to particularly focus in on those children in our community who are at an economic disadvantage and provide them equal footing to learn and grow. But the whole presentation, which is going to be followed on by a showing of a movie called Resilience later in the year, focuses on the adversity that, as a society, young people face. And in many ways, it starts in the womb, and it has to do with the environmental effects that they're facing, because we're facing it as stressed out adults in society. And the takeaway I came from it is, while it was focused on economically disadvantaged, we're all subject to it, whether you're a gazillionaire or whether you're in poverty. The environment we live in is in many ways highly toxic, and that toxicity impacts the development of our young people. So I was really impressed with it. I want to thank Nancy Weissler in particular, who was instrumental in getting the underwriting for the program, and to the United Way, Greenwich United Way, the Greenwich Public Schools for taking the lead on this, and we look forward to working with them. All right, Sandy, are you there? Hello?
Yes, I'm here.
He's on the,
Okay.
we can leave him there if you want.
Okay, because the other line is working, but if are you hearing everything okay?
I hear you perfectly, yes.
Oh, great, okay, super, okay. The next event that took place on the 15th was the 9th Annual Diversity Writing Contest, sponsored by the First Selectmen's Diversity Advisory Committee. The winners of that program this year was the second time, and I'm picturing her and I can't think of her first name. Monique Nikoloff won for the second year, the first place, and she uses the format of a poem to convey her sentiments. These writings have been published in the Greenwich Time. Thank you to Hearst for their participation, but really highlight the thinking of our young people on the subjects of diversity within our community and as a country. So I was very pleased with the quality. The recipients did receive a cash prize, a gift card for that, and we want to thank one of the members, I believe, on the committee who wishes to remain anonymous, donated half of the prize. The other half came through the town through the Department of Human Resources. The 17th, GEMS, Greenwich Emergency Medical Services, held their annual awards ceremony honoring volunteer and career staff. Very impactful evening because they presented not only awards to their crews, but also recognized those who had miraculous life-saving calls. And at the event were several of those survivors who gave testimony to their thanks and gratitude to GEMS for what they did in ensuring that they're alive and well today. Again, I think it's a testament to the quality of the service, and frankly, as someone said, you can't put a price on someone's life. So when people are nickel and diming, how much the service costs or this and that, it's really irrelevant when you look at when any of us call 911, we have the very best medical care at our disposal. So kudos to GEMS. Other updates, Hillside Road Working Group, which this board tasked in addressing those issues and concerns, and it's being ably led by Ben Branyan, will be presenting its findings at the June 27th Board of Selectmen meeting. Just as a follow-on, the initial date was June 1st. Having spoken to Mr. Branyan, they're just wrapping up several remaining issues, and he asked if it would be okay if they could have that additional time. I said, I think by all means, we want to seek the quality. So the meeting that works for us to receive this is on the 27th. Also had a wonderful visit here at Town Hall from a young man and his friend from New Lebanon Elementary School, Hank Van Schack, and his dad, and along with his friend John Kilgallen, came for something that I donated, which was lunch with the first selectmen that they bid on at their school fair or event. We were able to not only talk to them about what happens here at Town Hall, which is a little dry, to be candid. We brought in GEMS and GFD, so they got a ride on a fire truck and explain how the fire response works, and they also got education on GEMS with the ambulance app back. So they were very happy. I got a nice thank you from Hank, and they appreciated the hospitality. The town received notification last week from Live Green, Connecticut, that because of its work in banning plastic bags, we've been selected as a climate champion. According to Live Green, Connecticut, climate champions were chosen by Live Green's advisory committee in cooperation with the Discovery Museum and the Greater New Haven Clean Cities Coalition for, quote, high level of regional leadership and innovation that has been shown in the area of sustainability. So thanks to all those who are involved with that. Also wanted to point out that we received constituent concern from Representative Fred Camillo from one of his constituents in the Havemeyer Park area related to the condition of Havemeyer Lane, potholes, poor road conditions. Joe Roberto, our highway superintendent, sent a letter to the City of Stamford's Director of Operations, pointing out the fact that we have consistently brought this to their attention and provided all the correspondence. Just today, I received a copy of a letter from Ernie Orgera, who's their Director of Operations, that says, please be advised that Havemeyer Lane is on the City of Stamford paving list, which will commence after July 1st, 2018. The City of Stamford has already done the drainage assessment on Havemeyer and will start the drainage and catch basin repairs after July 1. So we're pleased that that finally is taking place because it's a little rough terrain, anybody who's in that area. Also wanted to acknowledge, and I have it here, as I'd like to do frequently, town employees who are recognized for their helpfulness in customer service. This comes to me from Joan Pellegrino, and she writes, Peter, I just wanted to mention to you that Melissa Evans was extremely helpful regarding the traffic investigation report for Sheep Hill Road. She kept me informed the last month and a half. Sheep Hill has changed in the last 15 or 20 years. It's now younger families moving on, so I hope the town realizes that. Thank you for forwarding my original email regarding the traffic problems. So Melissa, you happen to be here, so I just want to give you a shout out and acknowledge your wonderful customer service work with her. Thank you. Let's see, this afternoon, following the meeting today, we'll be attending the annual Greenwich Chamber of Commerce Awards Luncheon. We'll be honoring several residents for community contributions. The Corporate Leadership Award is being presented to Richards. The Harry Kalishan Small Business Award is going to the Perfect Provenance. The Nonprofit Leadership Award is going to River House Greenwich Adult Daycare. The Malcolm S. Prey Excellence in Business Award is going to Sandbridge Nursery and Greenhouses. The R. Michael Dunn Quality of Life Award is being presented to Paul Pugliese. The Police Officer of the Year Award is Sergeant John Thorne, and the EMT Award is going to a GEMS crew with life-saving results, and the Firefighter of the Year Award is going to Lieutenant Eric Maziars. So I look forward to be there with them and give them well-deserved recognition. Finally, this weekend's Memorial Day activities kick off in Coscob on Strickland Road with Coscob PFW Post 10112 at 10:30. Then proceeds to Sunday with the Byron Betts Parade from 1 to 5. They're having a block party on Veterans Way. Then over to Glenville, where they're having the parade down Glenville Street to the Glenville Green. Monday starts with the dockside service by the American Legion Post 29. Indian Harbor Yacht Club. Byram Vets do another ceremony on the grounds of McKinney Terrace, formerly Byram School, for a memorial there. The Old Greenwich Sound Beach Parade kicks off at 10 a.m. The Chickahominy Association has another ceremony at Hamilton Avenue School at 1. And in the midst of all that, the Greenwich Department of Parks and Rec runs the annual Jim Fix Memorial Day Run. So plenty of things that take place over this holiday weekend that kicks off the summer. That concludes my updates. Proceeding to the next item, which is 4 on the agenda, there is no old business. New business, we have with us today our Traffic Operations Coordinator, Melissa Evans, to present a request that has been recommended for the installation of an all-way stop sign on Sheep Hill Road and Sound Beach Avenue extension. Accompanying Ms. Evans is our Deputy Commissioner of Public Works, Jim Michael.
Thank you. I just wanted to add one more thing to your things, that this is National Public Works Week. And so if you happen to see any of your Public Works employees out there, just remind you to say thank you to them. They're the ones that plow the roads, pick up the leaves, all those fun things that nobody else really likes to do around town. So just thank them. In addition, we are currently having what we're calling Fill a Truck. It's a food drive during this week. There's pickup locations, or you drop off locations, I guess would be the proper way to say it, both at the Holly Hill Transfer Station and here at Town Hall on the second floor for in the Department of Public Works. So all the food will be donated to neighbor, and it's just a way that the town and the Public Works Department gives back to the community as well. So with that, I'll turn it over to Melissa to get to the actual business piece.
And actually, I'm going to add one more thing about the food drive. Everyone's so tall. It's not me being short, that's the problem. One more thing about the food drive that I will add is that there's also a website, a link that was published in the paper yesterday, and that's on our flyer, which is in the lobby and is up by our box, our donation box, which is an organization that Neighbor to Neighbor works with called Give Healthy. And the website allows people who don't necessarily want to bring in physical items to donate fresh fruit and vegetables to Neighbor's virtual pantry. And Neighbor to Neighbor really encourages people to use that because it offers healthier alternatives to the families in need, gives them an opportunity to have some fresh fruit and vegetables along with the regular shelf-stable items that Neighbor to Neighbor normally gets. So there's that as well.
I say thank you for doing that. I think it's a tremendous initiative that you've chosen to do. Really, thank you.
It's actually the New England American Public Works Association is doing it throughout the entire area. I will say that we're, I think, a little proud of the fact that Connecticut has the most municipalities participating. We're one of over 70 in Connecticut.
Good job.
So, okay, actual business. So, what you have before you today is a request to convert Sheep Hill Road at Sound Beach Avenue Extension from its current configuration, which is stop signs in 2 of the 3 directions. It currently exists with a stop sign for northbound Sheep Hill Road and for Sound Beach Avenue Extension. It's westbound traffic as it approaches Sheep Hill. We've had several residents contact us over the course of the last several months. It actually started with some folks on Perna Lane, actually through Representative Camillo. I went out there and met with him and the Perna Lane neighborhood representative to discuss the fact that it is a walking neighborhood for North Mianus School. And there's a bus stop also on Sheep Hill Road that kids have to get to. And the sidewalks that exist are on the north side of Sound Beach Avenue Extension, and then on the west side of Sheep Hill Road. So there's a crosswalk if you have your map, there's a crosswalk located on that northern side of the intersection, which is the one approach that doesn't have a stop sign. So southbound Sheep Hill does not have a stop sign right now. And so the kids all cross over, at that location, but the southbound cars are coming, they don't have a stop sign. Concerns that people weren't stopping for the pedestrians in the crosswalk. So then I proceeded to get an email, that email from Ms. Pellegrino, had a conversation with her. Some other residents here and there. There's another resident who's been emailing us, Mr. Sean Olbrich, about similar issues. So we went ahead, we did the investigation, we did what we always do, which is, analyze the intersection. We ran the warrants for whether or not a stop sign would be warranted there. It does meet the warrants based on the traffic counts that we did. So we're before you today to request that it be converted to an all-way stop.
Are there any questions?
No, that always was crazy, that coming.
And we do look, Jim and I have talked over the years, we have tried to go out and find these awkward intersections where 2 of the 3 approaches have stop signs, where it can be confusing who has the right-of-way at that point. We did convert some of them in Cascab a couple of years ago, I guess it was now, by the train station. And this was, another one of those kind of awkward configurations.
Yeah, because I hadn't thought of this before, the school children going, should we put some kind of a light there also?
So,
Because that's a straightaway.
I had the same question, whether a light should have been there.
like an actual, signal, or,
Even a flashing light.
No, I was thinking a real signal, a full traffic light is what I was thinking, in lieu of the stop sign.
well, I don't believe it would meet the warrants. They're different for a signal than for an always stop. And I did not do that because I didn't hear from the residents that that was something that they were interested in. I mean, certainly if the residents felt that that's something that they wanted to have us look at, we could do that. In the interim.
Do you think it's not necessary, Melissa?
I wouldn't know for sure without analyzing it, but I would think that that might be a little extreme for that location.
Okay.
But I could certainly do the analysis. It's a little different than the analysis for an always stop. I will say that if it's something we want to go back to the neighborhood with, in the interim, you can install an always stop anyway. Actually, that's usually what you do, is you install always stop as an interim measure before you install a signal anyway. So we could certainly do that and then see if we wanted to look into a more extreme measure.
I think that makes total sense,
That's
what you just said. It's an interim. You take that step and then you measure what that does and then, but I think it's a valid point, but I like your recommendation. We do this and then get a chance to live with it, study it, talk to the residents, and then see what it tells you.
And I do know that there's a resident here who,
Welcome.
Who was very supportive of the idea of a sign or a light.
I will let her speak for herself.
Well, and I appreciate the work Melissa does and the Department of Public Works.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you, Gail DiPoli. I own 88 Sheep Hill Road, which is the house that the stop sign will go in front of. So, of course, my personal concern is I'll never get out of my driveway. I can't get out of my driveway now during rush hours. So you put the stop sign at the crosswalk, that in essence prohibits me from getting out because there's like a 1-car space between where the stop sign will go and the beginning of my driveway. So my driveway will always be blocked, and it's going to be inch until you get out. Maybe the sign should go on the other side of the driveway where there are at least 3 car lengths between mine and Lanzarone's driveway. Possible. My biggest concern is we have 2 stop signs now that aren't policed. Rarely, we do see a squad car on Lakeview. The stop sign on the east side of Sheep Hill Road, which is in the northbound lane, is in a really bad spot for people to even stop. It's merely a suggestion. As I've told Melissa, only the neighborhood people stop at those signs. Everybody else blows through them. And my house has been the recipient of 2 bad accidents because of the stop sign on Sound Beach Avenue. One which totaled our SUV, which was parked in front of my house. The guy just blew through it and shoved the car in front of Lancerone's property. Really bad accident. And the other one was a Hummer that totally blew the stop sign, never slowed down, went over my stone wall, hit the tree in front of my bedroom, which stopped him, and then the car exploded. So it killed the tree, damaged sewer pipes. I mean, on my property that I had to fix. You know, it was a mess. So my concern is a personal one, but yes, it is also, there are so many kids. Maybe there should be a sidewalk down on the Pernal Lane side for all of those children that have to go to school. There's missing a sidewalk down there. And that's an issue. And I side with Fred Camillo. They've got to worry about all of those children. There are a lot of children around. We have a lot of our children at play slow signs down. Sheep Hill Road has now become National Speedway. 95 gets backed up. People try the shortcut to Stamford, which is go down Sheep Hill Road, go to Palmer Hill. Palmer Hill gets backed up. And if it's around the time when North Miamis gets out, nobody's going anywhere. So this is my concern. We are now getting trapped in the Sheep Hill Road saga of, we're already changing the end of Sheep Hill Road at the Post Road for putting in this little strip mall apartment complex with a parking lot. Sometimes it takes me 3 changes of lights to get out that way in the morning. So I, too, go other ways. I try to avoid that corner during rush hours. Now it's going to be, how am I going to get out of my own house? I'm 3rd generation in that house. I'd like to know that I'd be able to use it, that I'd be able to sell it for a reasonable amount of money someday. But, you know, if you can't get in and out of the driveway without waiting 5 minutes, 10 minutes, you know, who knows? During rush hour, it's hard now. It's a steady stream going, you know, southbound to get to 95 to get to the Post Road. So maybe a light elsewhere to slow them down. People just speed through, and it needs to be policed. People need to be fined. I understand Melissa just told me that the state of Connecticut doesn't allow for traffic cameras. That would be a perfect way of revenue generating, sticking a traffic camera there, because every other car blows through it on both ends. I mean, I'm forever honking my horn as I'm trying to get out from the cars that are just, you know, easing around, rolling stop on Sound Beach to get on Sheep Hill, and I'm forever doing this. I'm like, Grandma, no. It's, you know, it's getting, but it's like, you know, so that's the thing. So let me show you.
I want to show us which one are you, if you could
Okay,
just,
where's that?
so there's,
That one. This one. So the bus stops in front of my house. Bus stops in front of my house, and that's the crosswalk.
yeah,
So we go there, and that's my driveway. So if the stop sign goes there,
I see, yep.
yeah, and see, so there's this much, you know, you can see the amount of space between the crosswalk and my driveway. And there's 3 times the space between my driveway and the neighbor's driveway on that side. So, I mean, I don't oppose the proposal. It's a good one. We need to keep the neighborhood safe. But I also need to get in and out of my house.
Yep. So
And I'm not the only adult there driving. There were 3 adults driving in and out of the house, you know, at different hours. We all work at different hours. So that's really my explanation,
Yeah.
so,
thank you.
thank you.
So Jim, just if you could just touch on that final point.
Yeah, just a couple things. On Sheep Hill Road, coming from the north, when we did our traffic counts, I was just checking with Melissa to make sure. We figure there's about, from the north, during the 7 to 9 a.m. period, which was the peak hour, or the peak 2-hour period, there's about 4 cars per minute coming that direction. It's like 480 cars or something like that over that period of time or so. We don't, you know, we would, you know, there will be some backup at those stop signs, but it also, one thing that we do see in doing this for a variety of different neighborhoods is putting those stop signs. People tend to stop. They tend to slow down when they're driving through there. It does tend to help sometimes with speeds on a road. It's not a method to improve speeds on a road, but it will tend to help with that. In addition, she had mentioned Perna Lane. We are looking at putting a crosswalk and pedestrian sidewalk ramps at that intersection in the, hopefully before school starts in the fall. So we've investigated that as well, and we are looking at adding that for the pedestrian safety there as well. So we are looking at those options. The stop sign location actually needs to be in a specific spot for sight lines, so we can't necessarily pull it back before her driveway, because if you were then to stop at that location, then once you started pulling forward, people would not be, you wouldn't be able to see, and it wouldn't work as an intersection. It'd kind of be like almost be considered like a middle of the block stop sign, which would serve that purpose. There's set distances off of an intersection location that we have to place those, so.
Is there any way to put one of those do not block? Like, so you're putting it where you need to by the warrant, but so that people are aware, it's just another recognition that, courtesy is contagious, you would hope, but it's.
Right.
That they wouldn't do that.
Right. Another one of those, like, I don't want to say quirky rules in Connecticut, but to put up an actual do not block the box or do not block the driveway, it needs to be approved by the State Traffic Administration, and that's required, normally that's only required, or only allowed at intersections or significant volume driveway locations. So even some of the ones that are currently installed in town would not qualify under the current standards today if we were to go in and ask for them to be put into the same locations as where they are at today. Because they are in place already, we're grandfathered in on those existing ones, but we've looked at a variety of different places and it's been difficult to place that.
Okay, yeah.
What I have to say, if the placement of the signs is an issue, the one on the northbound side of Sheep Hill Road really is in a bad place anyway. That's why no one really stops at it. They just slow down and keep going. There's a full house and property before you get to Sound Beach Avenue from that one. So that one's far off the intersection. And also, we have a River House client in my house, my 90-year-old mother, which the bus comes to pick up during the day. It's hard enough to get the minibus into the driveway to get her into it during rush hour, both ends of the day, between 8 and 9, between 4 and 5, and sometimes as late as 6, depending on traffic. And now that's going to be trying to negotiate with, and there's a bus full of seniors and disabled people. It's, my opinion.
No, thank you. Thanks. Okay. So Jim, thanks for your follow on. Sandy, do you have any further questions, comment? Hello?
No, that's fine. I'm okay with the proposal. I just wanted to raise the question as to whether or not a light made sense there, and it sounds to me like, at least in the first instance, it's not necessary.
Okay, great. So at this time, if we can have a motion to approve.
One question.
Oh, sorry.
Melissa, are you going to look into whether or not a light is merited?
I'm happy to do that. I don't have a problem with that. I think what I would want to do is go back to the residents who originally came to us with the request for the stop sign, to find out how they feel about that. I don't want to do it and then have the whole neighborhood say, the last thing we want is a traffic signal. So I would want to reach out to them and just check to see if it's something they want us to look into.
Great.
But I'm happy to do that if it is.
That makes sense to me personally.
Me too.
Okay.
I think it's like, as you said, it's an interim step. We do this and then, so thank you.
Right, and right, this could lead to that if that,
Yeah.
is the case in the end. And I also just want to address, I think that we could potentially look at, I do know that northbound stop sign it's awkward, but the problem is that the intersection is very wide open there, so it's a kind of a sweeping turn onto Sound Beach Avenue extension. So, I mean, we could look at even just striping out maybe an edge line there and relocating the stop sign, I
Yeah,
guess.
we'll take a look at anything that we can do to help improve that location as we're doing this installation.
Great, thanks for all you do.
Thank you. So if we could have a motion to approve the recommendation that a stop sign be installed on Sheep Hill Road southbound at its intersection with Sound Beach Avenue Extension to establish all-way stop control.
So moved.
Okay, without objection, all in favor? Aye. Thank you very much. Oh,
Well, I know Sandy's not here, so if you want to just,
sure.
you can sign it and then,
Once Sandy comes back and is able to sign it, I'll get it back to you.
great,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay, that concludes new business. There's any appointments, nominations?
Thank you. Would you want to review what we will need to do between now and September?
Yes, no. Did you provide it to us? There's an updated sheet?
Right, I gave it to everybody. Put it on everybody's desk.
I think I put it in with this group, maybe. All right. So, under 6, Sandy, we're just going to review what we have to do remaining of any board appointments.
Okay. I don't think I have anything on that.
The
Barbara just
updated-
got this, the 22nd, she got an updated sheet, so we'll send that around.
Okay.
Okay, there is a copy on your desk, but you had already left, unfortunately.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, okay.
Okay, so what we will need to end up working on interviewing candidates and making nominations so that they would be placed on the September call. The deadline for that is August the 24th, and we will have one position for the Aging Commission. We have 2 positions on the Alarm Appeals Board.
Actually, Barbara, I did see that, but I didn't realize we were discussing that today, but I did see it. Thank you.
This is just an update so that we know what we'll need to be scheduling out through the summer for meetings, for interviews. Then we have one position that will be open for the Historic District Commission. Then, actually, I'm sorry that there are 2 of those positions, 2 regular positions of members on the Historic District Commission. Then on the Nathaniel Witherell Board, we will have one vacancy, actually, we have 2 vacancies, one immediate and one that will be coming up at the end of June. So we have candidates who will be presenting their nomination forms so that soon, so that we can start scheduling interviews with that. There will be one position, wait a minute, 1, 2, 3, 4 positions opening in October for Planning and Zoning Board of Appeals, and 1 position for Planning and Zoning Commission.
Is that the one, though, didn't one of them, you say we voted on, but it wasn't, was that Mr.
That's the
Maitland?
alarm appeal.
No, but Maitland, you said the other day, when we did that whole interview in the room, Mazza.
Correct.
He came in, but his term wasn't up.
Right, and that is the one position on Planning and
So
Zoning.
did we act on him already, or we said we were
Yes,
going to?
you did act on him.
Right. So just
No,
to-
I'm sorry, excuse me. No, you interviewed him and then said that you would wait to vote.
Okay, got it, okay, thank you. So I'm just trying to keep an accurate number. So that's 3, 5, 7, I count 12 based upon what you just said.
12, correct.
Oh, okay. So 12 positions, likely, depending upon desire to interview, 10 people or more, and a date of August 24th?
August 24th is the deadline for the September call.
In these terms, some of them don't expire until October.
Most of these expire, the Planning and Zoning positions, as well as the Historic District Commission. Those positions, the terms expire October of 2018.
Okay.
So if you would like, we could submit the nominations for the September call, so that it will be a smooth transition.
Okay.
Barbara, have you gone back to John Eddy about the 3/6/30 expirations? He mentioned Nathaniel Witherell. Does he know that Bankson is not re-upping and that
Yes.
we've got,
Yes, John's been totally updated.
okay, and Jean Perry is going over to Nathaniel Witherell rather than going to Parks and Rec? Originally, she was in for Parks and Rec.
Okay.
Okay.
And we have the gentleman, Sandy, the gentleman you reached out to, and then there's the doctor, so there should be at least 4 people. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah, I assume Rita Baker is reaching out to him, and we'll get an application there, I assume.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you for doing that.
And there's another expiration at the end of June. The Commission on Aging, Patricia Burns, are we going to do anything about her?
Right, that's one of the ones I read off that we need to address during the summer,
Okay.
because it missed the call for June.
Okay.
But her term, let's see, it says expire, oh, I see, 6, yeah.
6:30,
Yeah, Patricia's the chair too, and she's doing a lot of work.
right. And something else I'd like to address, if I could.
Sure.
Peter Crumbine's list that he sends us every month. We should look at some of the names that are on here and see if there's other places for them to go, because if you look in Parks and Rec, there are 5 names that are there, and we have filled everybody that's on that. So this is what I'll do. I'll ask the snack committee to look at those people and see if they can use them elsewhere. But they have to come off, they have to be notified somehow,
Yeah.
because John Eddy brought that up, and I think that was a very valid point.
I think that's the courteous thing to do, you're right, in terms of if they haven't been selected, let them know their status. And then 2, I was under the impression, correct me, that they sort of go into a great names list so that they're there if they choose to be at any time unforeseen.
That's why I was going to say, I'll tell SNAC to put these 4 people into this great names list, or look at the names to see if they can use them elsewhere.
And then do they keep that in a document that we could at least have, so we kind of keep it in our reservoir, because,
I don't think they look back on it terribly frequently.
okay. All right. Sandy, you have anything?
I guess I have a question for you, Peter and John, both. It's really a generic one. Is it helpful or unhelpful, because I am new, not just to the board, but as you well know, new to really participating in any way in the town's activities? I know a number of people who are in a similar situation to me. That is, they have not really participated or volunteered in any way. Not that they wouldn't, but they haven't. And my question to you is it helpful to you all? Do you think it's something that I should do, which is to try to reach out to all those people? I don't mean that there are hundreds of them, but there are a number of them, and see if they are interested with respect to any of these boards.
Sure.
Okay.
Yep.
I just don't want to waste anybody's time. If you think it's not necessary, I'm not going to do it.
No, I would say anytime that you have a name for a board or commission that you think is worthy of merit, you should bring it forward and bring it to Caroline Stevens' attention.
Okay.
And,
All right. I will do that, John.
okay. Thanks, Sandy.
Thank you.
Okay, so that concludes appointments and nominations for today. We do have a couple items of executive session. They are tax appeal settlements. There's two of those. In addition, there is a Condot sewer encroachment permit and agreement document that we will be discussing and will be considered for approval as it's gone to other boards. And I think that, and then an update on other matters of pending litigation, which there may be requests to approve. So At this time, I would entertain a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of discussion of pending litigation and settlement of claims.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, without objection, 10:59.
I was sitting next to a gentleman, and he said, I think he was talking about being on a golf course and getting into a conversation with somebody that graduated with us, and he said, I don't remember his name. And then I said, well, over here are all of the pictures. So he went over there to look, and in the meantime, Jack Cronin came over, and we started talking about you, and he came back and he said, oh, it was John Wayne.
I wrote it wrong. I have the first part of it.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a resumption of the regular monthly Board of Selectmen meeting. We just returned from executive session where there were several items reviewed, and at this time, we are prepared to take action. So the first matter is the Abercrombie case. This is a personal injury settlement. It's been a quite exhaustive process. The town's insurance carriers have entered into the discussions. The resolution at the court, overseen by Attorney Amin Ahmad, was for settlement. So we are voting today to provide the town's self-insured retention of $1 million toward the overall settlement of $6.5 million. So at this time, is there a motion to approve that settlement, throwing in the town's $1 million self-insured retention?
I will so move.
Okay, moved by Mr. Litvak. Second.
Reluctantly.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the second matter before us is a property tax appeal settlement. This, Ms. Hines, you want to read it?
Sure. Be happy to. This is docket number FST CV 17-501665-3S. It's parcel number 06-1805S. It is for a tax credit of approximately $440 against future tax payments. If the plaintiff were to have prevailed at trial, they would have been entitled to a cash refund of approximately $2,728 plus interest and costs.
Okay, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Sandy?
Second.
Okay, without objection. Thank you. And then finally, the following matter is an approval of a document that's referred to as State of Connecticut Department of Transportation Sewer Encroachment Permit and Encroachment Agreement. This is to transfer some of the exposure that will exist as the town has been granted a right-of-way by the state to install a new force main sewer line down the right-of-way. There are requirements that the state has in terms of the liability exposure, contractual liability exposure. This agreement satisfies their need and requests results in the town procuring insurance to cover that particular exposure. And this has to go before the RTM and has been before the BET, for which approved it on Monday night. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, without objection. I believe that concludes the business before the board today. Our next meeting, Barbara, just off the top of our head?
Will be June the 15th, and that, just to make a special note of that, that is on a Friday.
Okay, Friday, June 15th.
Friday, June the 15th.
Wonderful. Okay, that concludes the business today. Sandy, thank you very much for, working to participate. We are jealous that we can't be with you. Maybe you'll take us on the next trip.
You really would not want to be with me, but I thank you and Barbara particularly for enabling me to do this, and now I can get to work. Thank you.
Okay, be well, thanks.
Safe home.
Yeah.
All right, I need a motion and a vote to adjourn, please.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, without objection, 12:06.